So now that you know a little bit about why Drupal is a great platform for SEO, I wanted to talk a little bit about how to approach your website when you're ready to actually start doing the SEO. One of the things that I noticed when I was doing projects, working on different companies' websites, was that I was going through the same modules again and again and again, and I started keeping a list on a sticky pad on my computer of all the modules I needed to download and enable and install and configure, and I'd be working on one project, and then another project would come up, and I work on that one a little bit, and I couldn't remember where I was, and I was having trouble keeping track of everything, and I thought about making spreadsheets and stuff. But what I decided to do was, hey, let's use the platform, and I made a module called the Drupal SEO Checklist Module, which basically all it does is just organize your all the SEO steps that you need to take. And if you go through the SEO Checklist module, you'll have done most of the on-page SEO that you need to do. And so that's the first thing that I wanted to show you now that we're into actually hands-on here on the project. So let's dive right in here. So the first module that we're going to be talking about is the SEO Checklist module for Drupal. And it's really easy to find if you go to Google and you type in Drupal SEO Checklist. It'll be the first link that you find. Click on it. If you're partial to going directly to it, then you'll go to drupal.org/project/SEO_checklist. And then you'll scroll down here to the bottom, and we're going to be working with Drupal 6 for the purpose of this video, so you're going to download the most recent recommended version for 6, which as of this shooting is 3.0, but we come out with new releases three times a year. But that's the module that we're going to be working with, and then once you've downloaded it, uploaded it to your site, and turned it on, it's going to show up under Site Configuration SEO Checklist. But so here I am, I've come to the SEO checklist, and if you don't have vertical tabs installed, the SEO checklist still works, but what it does is it gives you these nice little tabs along the side of the SEO checklist to keep things neat and organized. So the first thing that I want to look at is how the module works. So you have these little tick boxes next to each task that you need to do. It goes through a bunch of different categories here. And it also, if there's a module that you need, it gives you a download link. And if you click that link, it'll open it up in a new tab for you. This is on drupal.org. And you just scroll down, find the version of the module that you need. In this case, it'll be 6x1.13. Click the download link. It'll save it to your hard drive for you, and then you can upload that via your FTP program. Now, I'm not going to do that. We've already talked a little bit about how to install a module. I want to just assume that you know how to do those basic things and move on to some more interesting SEO things. Now, one of the most basic things about Drupal from an SEO perspective is that you have to have what are called clean URLs. And notice here up in my menu, I have this little couple of 3 characters right there, $Q equals. And this is it's called a query string, and it's the way that the Drupal talks to the MySQL database. I don't want to get too technical and into all the details of how that works, but basically when you visit a web page that's on a Drupal site, it's got to send that query string to MySQL. MySQL gathers that data that you need, and then it sends it back to your web browser so that you see a nicely formatted Drupal website. Well, this little query string is not that friendly for search engines. Google does a really great job with query strings. Other search engines do not. And even Google, if you get some of these really long query strings, you'll end up with some issues. So one of the things that's built into just a core Drupal website is what are called clean URLs. So on the SEO checklist, you're going to go down here to URL paths, And you'll see that the first one is clean URLs. Activate them. And usually this is automatically turned on, but for purposes of demonstration, I've actually made sure that it's turned off so I can show you how to do it. The other great thing about the SEO checklist is that it gives you links. So I can click the configure button here in the SEO checklist. It takes me right to the clean URLs screen in your Drupal site. And then I can click on the enabled. Now here it says your server has been successfully tested to support this feature. If you don't see that, then there's a configuration issue, and get with your webmaster or whoever your server company is and ask them to configure it properly for you. And there's lots of documentation on Drupal.org about how to do that. Anyway, most of you will probably already have this enabled. You won't have to do anything, but I'm going to enable it, click Save, and I'm done. And now I'm going to go back up here, seeing my URL. It no longer has the question mark Q equals. And so Drupal is just assuming that anything after that slash is a query string. Great, so now we're going to go back to the SEO checklist. And you can get to it from site configuration. Just pull down to SEO checklist. And one of the great things about it is it helps you keep track. It's not just a list of things to do, it's actually a checklist. So you check it off. Actually, we checked off token there. I didn't do token, so I'm going to uncheck that. And I'm going to go back to URL paths, click off the clean URLs, since that's what I did. And you scroll down to the bottom and you click Save. Now this is a good opportunity to talk about another kind of cool behind-the-scenes feature of the SEO checklist, which is that it will automatically detect if you've installed certain modules. So, for example, in fact, every time I go into the SEO checklist, it checks to see what I've already done. So if I go down here to the Optional but Helpful tab, you'll notice the vertical tabs module and the administration menu module are already checked. And I didn't go in there and do that. That was already done. It also gives me this neat little timestamp. So it says completed on, and it gives me a date and a time, and then it tells who was logged in, who was the person that came to the checklist when that task was done. Now I know that's not perfect. It may not be the person who actually did it, but it at least gives you an opportunity to see that certain things have already been done. This is super helpful if you have a website that you've already been working on. You may have done a lot of the SEO things for Drupal, and you drop in the SEO checklist. It's going to go detect all the things, all the modules you've already done, and check those off for you. And then all you have to do is go through, look at the ones that are not checked, do those tasks, and you're done. So since you have the date and timestamps, this is basically a report of what's been done for SEO on your site. You could print that off, save it, give it to a client, do all kinds of things with it. But let's take a couple of minutes, go through the SEO checklist, and just show you what's here. And this will give us a brief outline of what we're going to be covering for the next couple of chapters. First off is page titles, and in general the SEO checklist is ordered in the most important stuff at the top and then in decreasing importance as you go down. That's not a 100% rule, but that's kind of what I tried, that's what I envisioned when I put it together. So the first thing is page titles. A page title is basically the text that shows up at the very top of your browser window. It's the first thing that the search engines look at when they come and try and figure out what your site's about. So it's very important. You'll need the token module to do that. We'll talk about that. And then URL paths. So there are several modules listed here. They are all there to work on one particular thing, and that's this piece of text right here. It's the URL of the site, and specifically it's the last part of the URL. Anything after the .com is called the path, and it's in Drupal designed to look like you're going through a folder hierarchy, and it's really important that you have control over those, because that's the second most important place that a search engine looks to find out what your site's about. So these are places where you're going to be putting keywords, it's places where you're going to be organizing your content, and you want to have a lot of good control there. And then one of the neat things that has happened in the last few years is that search engines have given us a number of ways to communicate with them about our websites. In the early days of search engine optimization, it was a shot in the dark. You really had no idea if the things you were doing were good or bad, or how your site looked to the search engine. And they've provided us with some tools now. But you have to create an account and you have to register that account. And so we have this Create Search Engine Accounts tab, and we'll go through and talk about how to do those things. And then tracking your visitors is critically important to SEO. Knowing where they come from, what they do when they're on your site, how to get more of them, how to get them to do what you want them to do when they're on your site, really is a critical factor in the success or failure of an SEO campaign. So we're going to talk about that. And then page content, how to mark up the content that's on your site with the right keywords, meta tags, all that other good stuff that really communicates well to the search engines. And that's what SEO is all about. It's about communicating as best as you possibly can to the search engines and to your site visitors. And then clean code, some ways to validate what's been written and done on your site. Make sure you're not confusing your visitors in the search engines with some stray HTML or JavaScript. And once that's done, then I feel okay about submitting your site to the search engines. First, clean it up a little bit and then go, okay, hey you guys, here's my site, here's all the content. We'll create an XML sitemap, we'll verify your site with the search engines, we'll submit that sitemap, and then we'll log into the different tools and we'll show you some of the nice things that you can do there. And there is a whole section here on social media. Basic social media tools like dig this or send this back out to the service or provide those links that people can click so that they can tweet about it or talk about it on Facebook or wherever it is that they play. Protecting your site from spam. We'll talk about the Mollum module, how to install that, some of the other options if Mollum's not something that you can use. And then this one's really important, the geographic tab. If you're doing SEO for a website that is local, in other words, you would like for it to show up in the Google local listings, which is that little map that's at the top of Google with the phone numbers, kind of the yellow pages type listing that's at the top of Google sometimes. Then the geographic tab is for you. You go through and you do those things, and it really increases the chance that Google will find you and place you in the proper geographic region. We've already covered the optional but helpful modules. This is just a place where it's not really directly having anything to do with SEO, but it just makes life easier if you are going to do SEO. The performance tab, we're going to spend a little bit of time on. One of the search engine ranking factors that has come about in the last year or so, and that's since say mid 2009. Has been site speed or performance. How quickly does your site respond to Google's queries? And it is a factor in your rank. If you have a very fast website, you will rank higher, all things being equal, than somebody who has a slow performing website. The Extras tab is just that. It's extras. Stuff that you don't have to do, but it's nice. It gives you an opportunity to give me feedback on the SEO Checklist module. Tell me if you know of other modules that you think ought to be in there or things that you had problems with. I'd love to get your feedback on that. You also have a chance to link to Veloci, to take a look at the book, which is available on Amazon Unpacked, and which I'll show you one more thing on here. If you click through, you'll actually see that on certain modules it references a page number, and that page number ties directly into the Drupal 6 Search Engine Optimization book. So if we'll cover it on the video, and if you still have questions and you want to dive a little deeper, then that's provided there for you. Just a convenience thing. So that's the SEO Checklist module. We're going to be using it a lot throughout the video. We'll jump in here, look at the next things to do, click links, go back out, spend time discussing how to do the different configurations in the modules, come back here, check off what we've done. By the time we're finished, we'll have a lot of these things checked off, and that's how it's designed to work. It was something that I built to scratch my own itch, and I've shared back with the community, and it's grown and evolved since then as well. So it's a powerful way to manage your SEO campaign.